The movie opened with a bustling scene of Chu Xia and her mother. Chu Xia decided to drop out of school and help her mother make money. On her first milk delivery trip, with her hairstyle, clothing, and even the look of her delivery bike, she was the undisputed queen bee of the Mao Duo Alley. See, she had already made her move. She heroically helped out the little kid, but before she could celebrate, she heard the loud voice of a neighbor demanding payment. The electricity and water bills were overdue, so she sped off on her bike. She needed to deliver milk to make money to pay them off. Her multiple hardships didn't end there. On the road, she got blocked. Looking at them, I could only see their style and laugh hysterically. Luckily, a handsome guy appeared, shining brightly in the thick cigarette smoke. It was Feng Xiao. He only needed to say one word, and Chu Xia could continue on her way with no obstacles. In another scene, this guy with beautiful features but an arrogant and cold demeanor was Qi Lu, the young master of Han Corporation. He couldn't stand the girl at the table next to him and took action against this bastard. Unexpectedly, when he knocked the guy out, it was exactly when Chu Xia was running towards him. Bang! A collision, and the milk bottle shattered. She demanded he pay for the damage. But this guy pointed his finger at Qi Lu. She was about to go over and explain justice when she tripped on a shattered milk bottle, falling onto him, their lips brushing. Oh my god, what's going on? The two of them jumped up in a panic, trying to wipe themselves clean. Han Yu, Qi Lu's friend, walked over. He seemed excited to witness this, but they had to leave because of the military training at the school. Chu Xia called them back loudly. Han Yu shoved a wad of money into her hand. Thinking everything was settled, she suddenly remembered that her necklace had fallen into Qi Lu's bag and rushed after them. Meanwhile, the school's convoy was on the road when it was blocked by a group of terrorists. They looked so cool, but when I saw the dog and cat masks, I couldn't stop laughing. The three of them, Chu Xia, just arrived and were all caught. Chu Xia looked a little scared, but the important thing was to get her necklace back first. But the bag with Qi Lu's belongings was being held by them. Han Yu then bet 110,000 yuan with her if she could figure out a way to save them. Chu Xia's mother heard that her daughter hadn't delivered milk yet. When she arrived, she called her but couldn't reach her. Worried, she went to look for her. Unfortunately, while not paying attention, she was involved in an accident. Feng Xiao rushed her to the hospital. The iron left behind was also burning. Chu Xia cleverly said she was a milk delivery girl, not a student, so they let her go, but seeing the two men's pleading faces, she remembered the bet and used this as a reason to negotiate again. After sealing the deal, Chu Xia pretended to faint. Everyone gathered around her. She had imagined taking down the terrorist, but somehow she ended up taking down the annoying Qi Lu. They all got caught, and everyone blamed Chu Xia. Then a phone rang. It was Jiangua, their teacher. No wonder the voice sounded familiar. It was all a drill. Everyone sighed in relief. As they were leaving, Chu Xia called Qi Lu over, wanting her money, but he refused. The teacher returned her phone. She got a message saying her mom was in critical condition. She froze. Qi Lu kept on messing with her, making her angry, so she punched him and ran off. It turned out that Chu Xia's mom had signed a temporary organ donation form, and her kidney was a match for Qi Lu's father. Her final wish was for them to raise her daughter until she finished college and got married. She closed her eyes before she could even see her daughter one last time. Chu Xia arrived to see her mother in surgery and lost her composure. She blamed Qi Lu for her bad luck. By the time her mother was wheeled out, she was cold. Chu Xia was heartbroken. She had only her mother, and now she had nothing left. To fulfill her mother's last wish, even though she didn't want to, she decided to go to the Han family's house. Luckily, she still had two friends who stayed with her all night. She wanted to go home to pack her clothes, but her old apartment was burned down. The landlord even scolded her. She wasn't even given any respect, even though her mother had just passed away. Qi Lu's mother arrived. In this huge house, Chu Xia felt overwhelmed and wanted to hide in a corner. But the devil Qi Lu still came to taunt her, bringing up the debt and provoking her, making her really angry. Back in her room, she looked at her necklace and thought. He even said she was an exception to his allergy because he didn't react when he kissed her. In the middle of the night, Chu Xia snuck into his room to get her necklace. By some strange twist of fate, they kissed again. It was destiny. She took her necklace and ran out. The next morning, Chu Xia looked beautiful in her new dress. But deep down, she knew she would leave that house after breakfast because she was an ugly duck that didn't belong with swans. She wanted to be the Chu Xia of the Mao Duo Alley. But she received news from Chi Lu's mother that she would be attending their prestigious school as his fiancée. She almost choked on her water. In shock, it was ironic. She and her mother had been in debt for a long time just to go to this school. She had been working to make money, then lost her mother, and now she got into the school without any effort. She accepted her fate. On the way to school, Chi Lu kept telling her to call him young Master Han, as if he was worried she didn't know he was a rich kid. It was like he wanted her to be his maid, a big difference in status. Standing in front of the school her parents used to attend, Chu Xia was determined to become successful. Xiao Nan suddenly appeared. She had transferred to the same school as Chu Xia. She thought the school would be great, but when Chu Xia walked in, she saw how some people thought they were better than others. Chu Xia felt like sighing because they treated commoners like her poorly. The principal introduced the new homeroom teacher. Then, a boy with a bruised face walked in, but he wouldn't answer questions. Chu Xia was very upset. Her righteous nature couldn't stand to see the weak be bullied. She wanted to help, but Xiaonan stopped her and ripped her dress in the process. During break time, with her skills, Xiaonan tried to fix the dress, but everyone was looking at her and laughing, so she knew it was a disaster. Then, Chi Lu was waiting outside the car for Chu Xia. As soon as she walked out, she saw him pushed away and yelling at a girl. She was so annoyed by these rich kids. When she got home, her face wasn't happy, so Chi Lu's mom scolded him and made him apologize to her. Chi Lu barged into her room without waiting for her permission. Chu Xia gave him a lecture about her rights to the room, and he even had to applaud her. What an arrogant attitude! She mentioned the girl from earlier, and he said he had his own way of dealing with it. He then blamed her for not keeping her word, saying she would leave but stayed. He promised to make her life miserable if she stayed. So frustrating. The next day, after listening to the teacher's lesson, Chu Xia realized the truth. Wherever there is oppression, there is struggle. To show her confidence, in winning, she punched Chi Lu in the eye. He couldn't argue with her anymore, so he played the petty trick of making her, a weak woman, carry a bucket of water. The rumor of their fight spread throughout the school. A small matter turned into a rumor that Chu Xia was pregnant with Chi Lu's child, so he dared not disagree with her. Xi and Wei heard about it, and went to find Chu Xia to get the truth. Chu Xia carried the bucket of water to where Chi Lu was, and then dropped it at his feet. Not satisfied, he told her to share it with everyone. But when she opened the door, a trash can was thrown at her head, with the class cheering. Chu Xia was enraged and threw the can back at them. The two sides fought, and then returned to the classroom. Chu Xia didn't know there were more troubles waiting for her. Chi Lu was furious with the class for their actions. But they were scared in front of him, but behind his back, they didn't respect him at all. Unlike his friend who liked to fight, Xin Wei only made sarcastic remarks hinting that Chu Xia shouldn't be thinking about love, but should focus on her studies. Meanwhile, she was still chasing after Chi Lu. What a devil! The rumors spread even more. Even the legal wife like Xin Wei wasn't afraid of the mistress Chu Xia. This meant she must be pregnant with Chi Lu's child, so she had a strong backer. Chu Xia really wanted to sew their mouths shut. After this incident, those who were weak came to Chu Xia for protection. Because they were so enthusiastic, she couldn't refuse, so she ate seafood rice balls even though she was allergic. During class, she was scratching like crazy. The teacher noticed and misunderstood, calling her up. By accident, she dropped the porcelain vase the teacher borrowed from the principal's office. The teacher didn't scold her, but he didn't know how to solve the problem, making Chu Xia feel guilty. They couldn't find a way to fix it, so they turned to food for comfort. Chu Xia took them to a street food stall and invited Feng Xiao and Han Yu. Han Yu seemed hesitant because he was already interested in Chu Xia. Meanwhile, seeing that Chu Xia hadn't returned even, though she asked for permission, Chi Lu's mother was worried and sent him to find her. Even though he was annoyed, he had to follow his mother's wishes. They were eating happily when someone came looking for trouble and demanded compensation. Feng Xiao didn't want to cause a scene, but they wouldn't back down. Chu Xia also confronted them about the injury on Feng Xiao's head. Seeing her being so aggressive, they wanted to fight her. They both charged forward. Just as one of them was about to hit her with a stick, Chi Lu appeared and blocked the blow, then retaliated. With a teammate, Chu Xia became bolder and just made a fuss. Unexpectedly, the enemies kept coming, one group after another, more and more. The three boys tried their best to maintain their composure, but running away was the best strategy. When they got home, Chu Xia used Chi Lu's ointment on her injury. He sighed, saying she would cause more trouble if she stayed, so it would be better if she left. But she just hoped to stay until graduation. The next morning, Chu Xia wanted to find Xiao Nan to talk about finding a room, but she ran into Han Yu. He kept asking, and she finally told him. Han Yu immediately offered to help her find a place. He took her to his grandmother's house before she passed away. Chu Xiao was very excited because there was a sewing machine there. His grandmother used to be a fashion designer, just like her mother. She was touched by his kindness, but when she asked Qi Lu's mother for permission, she refused and demanded that she stay until Qi Lu's father came back to decide. On the weekend, as promised, Han Yu came to pick up Chu Xia, but he had to bring Qi Lu along. They went to a peaceful place together. But seeing Qi Lu's jealous face when he wanted to take pictures with Chu Xia, he would only take a picture of one person. When Han Yu bought ice cream for Chu Xia, he would take it, eat a bite, and then give it back. It was such a big difference in status. In the evening, the three of them sat together to watch the stars. Chu Xia's gestures reminded him of his ex-girlfriend. He wanted to show off his knowledge about constellations, but she talked about a story her mother told her with great enthusiasm. Qi Lu thought it was a lie, but when he found out it was her mother who told her, he conceded defeat. Xin Wei knew about this outing and became jealous, so she made a plan to harm Chu Xia. The next day at school, Chu Xia saw everyone running around, telling each other that she had broken a taboo and was cursed. But upon inspection, it was just fake blood. She would get her back one day. The school organized a farm work activity. Compared to the other beautiful people, Chu Xia enjoyed this more. Han Yu kept looking at her, so cute. The bully Gao Gan, used to his ways, came to bully the weak again. This time, she couldn't let it slide. Chu Xia stood up to him. Xiaonan tried to stop her, but she couldn't. The two of them, Xin Wei, poured fuel on the fire by saying that Chu Xia was just a maid and shouldn't be so arrogant. Gao Gan, emboldened, challenged her, saying that he would make her his horse today. How arrogant! Chu Xia kicked him, and he flew away. Everyone started shouting as if they were the victims of a robbery. The headmaster arrived and wanted to ask Qi Lu how to solve the problem, but he didn't defend her at all. Chu Xia insisted that she hadn't done anything wrong, so why should she be afraid? The teacher punished her to plant the entire field by herself under the scorching sun. Qi Lu wanted her to humble herself and beg. Then he would ask the teacher to forgive her. She didn't even care, but in the end, she fainted from exhaustion. She was treated by a beautiful doctor and woke up. Han Yu explained Qi Lu's intention to her. He did that to make things right with the Gao family and wanted to take all the blame. Could it be that this evil young master had changed? Worried that Chu Xia would suffer in society later on because of her stubborn personality, the homeroom teacher asked the doctor to keep her as a helper and gradually change her. Chu Xia tried to put on a happy face when she returned to class, but everyone avoided her. When she saw that her books were torn, she was really disappointed. Only Xiao Nin was by her side. In a tea ceremony class, the teacher revealed that the vase from earlier was fake, putting Chu Xia's mind at ease. Seeing her happy, Han Yu came over to talk to her. Qi Lu had been watching her from behind and didn't take his eyes off her. When Xin Wei came over, he didn't even care, making her embarrassed. When Chu Xia made a delicious cup of tea and wanted to offer it to Han Yu, Qi Lu immediately took it and drank it all in one go. He couldn't let it fall into someone else's hands. But on the outside, he said it was terrible because she hadn't cultivated her heart and mind. She really wanted to punch him. After school, Chu Xia bought a vase to return to the teacher. In the art room, she was delighted when the teacher gave her a painting of a small sun, just like her. Hope and effort. The next day at school, a cowardly person threw a vase at her head. Luckily, Han Yu saved her. What a jerk! To thank Han Yu for saving her, Chu Xia invited him to dinner. Qi Lu's mother hadn't seen her come home, so she made him go find her. Qi Lu arrived at the gate just as they were returning. Embarrassed, he pretended to have been jogging. Knowing that she had trouble at school, Qi Lu's mother wanted to hire 10 bodyguards for her, but no one agreed. Qi Lu suggested that he do it, making everyone even more scared. So, from the next day onwards, Qi Lu followed her 24/7, making her feel very confined. One day, while they were in class together, Qi Lu accidentally saw someone following him and stood up, took her hand, and declared that she was his. No one could touch her. He even kissed her to make it more real. Chu Xia swallowed her anger and snuck out alone, not realizing that leaving his side was a mistake. Xiao Shui, the girl who was chased away by Qi Lu, had been watching her for a long time. The fake blood and the falling vase were all her doing. Unable to accept that Qi Lu was protecting Chu Xia, she took a knife and tried to cut her face. Just then, Chi Lu appeared and blocked the blow with his arm. Losing control, she started yelling, saying that anyone who got involved with Chu Xia would be unlucky. She was the one who harmed teacher Yu Tian because he didn't have the money to hold his art exhibition after repaying for the broken vase. Chu Xia heard this and ran away. Gao Gan appeared and stopped Xiao Shui. This wasn't a simple matter. Chu Xia went to Feng Xiao and asked him to help her find a job that paid a lot of money. She wanted to pay off her debts quickly. Seeing his little sister, who used to be happy, now constantly gloomy, he couldn't stand it. It turned out that Gao Gan had secretly loved Xiao Shui for 10 years. Now, he was heartbroken to see the one he loved go crazy for another man. The next day, Feng Xiao came to pick her up after school. Seeing her with him, Chi Lu felt a little more at ease. Chu Xia was taken to a car garage. She would work as a car washer for the whole day. She worked hard, and at the end of the day, she received her pay. Those money felt so precious. She went back home exhausted and was startled by Chi Lu. He had been waiting for her and fell asleep without realizing it. But he denied it until his mother revealed the truth. "Young master, if you care about her, just say it." Unexpectedly, the perverts at the garage saw her as a weak girl and bullied her, giving her all the work and spraying water on her to tease her. Han Yu arrived and put his jacket on her and took her away, taking care of her. Chi Lu was even more frightening when he glared at them and made them pay the price. Knowing that Chu Xia wanted to make money to pay off her debts, Han Yu took her to the infirmary and entrusted her to Dr. Maria. Working as an assistant, there was both comfortable and prestigious. Chu Xia worked with the teacher to chase away all the lustful guys around her. Then, the two of them had a heart-to-heart talk. Chu Xia felt enlightened. Instead of feeling guilty about Yu Tian's situation, she should find a way to help him. Chu Xia went to the headmaster and asked to borrow the room to hold an art exhibition with an auction to raise funds. With her smooth talking, she quickly convinced him. She started working on the first steps. Chi Lu was always watching her. She was so enthusiastic, but no one supported her activity. Then she ran into the pest Gao Gan. Did he have to cause trouble? He even mentioned her mother. Chu Xia was furious, but she held back, afraid he would disrupt the exhibition. He was emboldened and became even more aggressive. Luckily, Chi Lu intervened and he finally left her alone. But his attitude towards her wasn't much better. Back home, when Jiang Yuan asked about Chu Xia, Chi Lu pretended to tell a story, but implicitly mentioned Chu Xia's troubles. She easily recognized his intention, so she went to his room that night to thank him. Not so bad. Who would have thought? He was surprised and even sprayed her face with water. She really wanted to take back her words. While she was wiping her face, Chi Lu's mother happened to see them and misunderstood. But for her, it was a happy thing. The next day, Chu Xia continued to encourage everyone. This time, she was caught by Yu Tian. He asked her to stop immediately. Although he felt guilty, he didn't want her to be implicated because of him. But Chu Xia was stubborn and continued. Not doing it would make her regret it even more. How could an art exhibition be held without paintings? Chu Xia asked Dr. Maria to keep the teacher busy while Han Yu transported the paintings from the teacher's house. The rumor quickly spread throughout the school. One thing led to another, and when it reached the headmaster, it became a big deal. He arrived just as Chu Xia was arguing with the bully Gao Gan, making him even more angry. Dr. Maria was exposed and could no longer keep Yu Tian busy. It seemed like things were getting more complicated. The headmaster thought that she was bullying her classmates, had made many mistakes and hadn't corrected them, and had even dared to lie to him. What a bully! Yu Tian ran over to plead for her, but he was also scolded. The headmaster became even angrier. He punished the entire class to run 50 laps, with no exceptions. Feeling that it was unfair, Yu Tian confronted the headmaster and continued to speak up for his student. The whole class sided with the teacher. In this big school, it was Chi Lu who ended up resolving the chaos. He challenged Chu Xia to a one-on-one basketball game for 30 minutes. If she scored on him once, she would win and could hold the exhibition here. The two of them played intensely. Chu Xia tried her best but couldn't get the ball into the net. Compared to Chi Lu, the basketball king, in the last seconds, Chu Xia gathered her courage and made a shot, but it hit Yu Tian's head directly. She wanted to sigh. At this point, Chi Lu had to give her his final chance to shoot. Luckily, the ball went into the net. Emotions erupted. The two sides argued because it was an accidental shot. But the referee was Han Yu, so he naturally ruled in Chu Xia's favor, and Chi Lu conceded defeat. But the headmaster, under pressure from Class A, still refused to allow Chu Xia to hold the exhibition. They had to get approval from the board of directors. At this time, Chi Lu's mother arrived. This was his trump card. She and her friends quickly agreed to let her hold the exhibition and even suggested that Chu Xia advertise to sell the paintings. She was her savior. But before she could celebrate, Chu Xia heard the news that Yu Tian had been fired. Chi Lu met him at the gate, bought his last painting, and received advice to cherish what he had, don't lose it, and then regret it. Chu Xia rushed to his art room, but there was nothing left. He left a letter saying that he had resigned because he wanted to get out of his comfort zone. He truly cherished Class B's feelings for him. Yu Tian had left, but Gao Gan wasn't satisfied. He still hated her and didn't want to let go of this matter. Teacher Jian Gua had returned. Looking at his fierce face, it seemed like Class B's beautiful days were over. Chi Lu was eager to know what Chu Xia was preparing for his birthday, so she would know about it by then. He talked to the butler, but deliberately shouted, but she just ignored him. Seeing that her room was still lit up late at night, he went in and found out she was writing a self-criticism for each person in Class B because they didn't know a single letter of English. Later, he gave her her salary, adding a substantial amount because he wanted her to have money to buy him a gift without having to worry. He was pretty good at that. But when he invited her, she didn't want to go. To get her to come, he had to invite the whole Class B. Using his mother to pressure her, he also didn't give up, and after a lot of nagging, she agreed. He was ecstatic. Chu Xia went back to visit her old house where the wall was covered with words of encouragement. Seeing it, she became more spirited. Feng Xiao gave her the money from selling her design clothes. The two of them shared their dreams. He would open a shop and she would design, and together they would become rich. But deep down, he felt that the two of them were in different worlds now. It was time to return to reality, and she had to say goodbye to Feng Xiao. However, she also had an idea for a birthday gift for Chi Lu. When she got home, she started making a shirt for him. Seeing her meticulously and passionately, Han Yu wished that shirt was for him. The invited guests had arrived, but the most important person hadn't arrived yet. Chi Lu kept looking, his heart burning with impatience. Xin Wei, taking advantage of the absence of Chu Xia, followed him closely until the last minute. Finally, Chu Xia and her companion arrived. Even though he wanted to explode inside, he still tried to appear cold on the outside. He stood up and announced the reason for the gathering. But Chu Xia didn't even listen, standing and laughing with Han Yu, making him uncomfortable. Someone suggested playing truth or dare. She wanted to trap Chu Xia. Chu Xia immediately refused. Chi Lu, his face as cold as ice, took his gift and left. If she didn't want to play, then fine. Afraid she would be bored alone, Han Yu took her along. The atmosphere was very gloomy. Everyone's faces were tense like strings. It was her turn, and Chu Xia chose dare. She had to kiss someone of the opposite sex. Otherwise, she would have to drink a large glass of wine as the others challenged her. Chu Xia would never back down. She grabbed Chi Lu's collar and kissed him on the lips, to everyone's astonishment, Xin Wei's jealousy, and Jiang Yuan's relief. Chi Lu was still frozen in place when it was his turn. He spun the bottle and landed on dare. He didn't want to, so he chose truth. He was asked a question that reminded everyone of someone, but no one dared to mention it, which made Chi Lu angry, and he left. Han Yu rushed to persuade and comfort him. He had just calmed down when he heard a song that shouldn't have been played here. Chu Xia was innocently playing and singing Twinkling Star. Xin Wei had told him that this was the only way to make him happy, not realizing that she was harming him. She was truly a petty and despicable person. Chi Lu was truly furious. He grabbed Chu Xia's hand fiercely, asking why she sang this song. She learned that it was Xin Wei who had incited her, but she denied it, which made Chu Xia angry and she wanted to attack her. Chi Lu stopped her, but his grip was too strong and he pushed her directly into the lake. Han Yu jumped in to rescue her. Jiang Yuan rushed out in a panic and promised to settle the score with whoever was responsible. Chi Lu yelled at everyone to leave. He sat down and played the song again. Memories of the past came flooding back. It turned out that this song was associated with the happy times between him and Man Kuei. But in the end, he was the only one performing it. On that same day, she broke up with him. She wanted to go abroad because she didn't want to see him. She didn't want to be his shadow anymore. It was heartbreaking when he said he would wait, but she cruelly said there was no need because she wouldn't be back. He sat there alone, playing the piano, until his mother called him. She wanted him to apologize to Chu Xia, but he refused. The next morning, the two of them walked in opposite directions, but still bumped into each other. They already disliked each other, and their mothers could see the shock on their faces and knew their mental state hadn't stabilized yet. So Chi Lu stayed home from school. He searched for the gift she gave him and found a shirt. He put it on and was admiring it when he saw the character's show, which means longevity, on it. He became furious and shouted Chu Xia's name, wanting to devour her. This made Chu Xia sing in a sarcastic way. The rumor of her ruining his birthday party spread throughout the school. It seemed that her heaven and hell were not that far apart. People started to avoid her and play tricks on her. Fortunately, Chu Xia had Han Yu to help her. He wanted to protect her, but how? With a strong girl like her? Xian Wei, the villain, was looking for trouble again during PE class, deliberately throwing the ball at her. But Chu Xia didn't let her get away with it. She blocked Chu Xia's path and started taunting her, making Chu Xia angry and push her. Teacher Jiangua saw this and accused Chu Xia of attacking her classmate. He punished her by making her run 30 laps. Looking at Xian Wei's triumphant face, I wanted to kick her. Everyone saw clearly that Xian Wei was provoking Chu Xia, but she was the one being punished. But she was powerless and no one dared to say anything. Chu Xia was stubborn and refused to give up. She kept running. Chi Lu was furious about the shirt and went to school to confront Chu Xia. She was already exhausted and about to faint before he could do anything. He knew Xian Wei was up to something. He wanted to go crazy. He chased after her and told her to stop, but it was useless. She was so stubborn. He picked her up and carried her inside, glaring at Xian Wei with half an eye. And he warned Han Yu, I don't want this to happen again. You understand? Seeing her daughter-in-law return home in this state, Jiang Yuan felt heartbroken and couldn't stand it anymore. But her son carried her like that, straight into the room, as if he had accepted her. Han Yu was stunned. The girl he secretly loved was his best friend's fiancée. What should he do? Chi Lu carried her into a room that was very close to his. He declared a ceasefire, would live peacefully with her, and possibly go further, making her, exhausted as she was, unable to stop smiling. He was about to kiss her to end this stalemate when he noticed someone outside. It turned out to be Jiang Yuan, her beloved mother-in-law, who was eavesdropping to see how their relationship was progressing. She was interrupted again. She immediately claimed that she was interviewing for a new house designer, but it turned out that he was a doctor. He called her out, making him look so stupid. After that, Chi Lu went to talk to Han Yu. Knowing his friend liked her, he didn't dare to admit that he liked her too, and said, if you like her, go ahead and take her home. Unexpectedly, Han Yu did it. When Chi Lu's father returned, he would take her away. Chi Lu lay there thinking about the moments he had with Chu Xia, then thought about what Han Yu had said. He wasn't willing to give up, so he went to find Chu Xia. In the dark room, Chu Xia was lying flat on the floor because she had slipped and fallen. Chi Lu stepped on her hand. Oh my God! She screamed. He tried to help her up, but he changed his mind and dropped her with a thud. He demanded that she beg him before he would help. Chu Xia was furious and stood outside for a long time. Then she started screaming. He rushed in, worried. This time, she decided not to let go and pulled down his pants so she could get up. Jiang Yuan heard this and rushed into the room, seeing the two of them lying on the floor. It was exactly what she wished for. From that moment on, they became awkward and avoided each other. Chu Xia thought he was playing with her, so he said he wanted to be with her. Chi Lu thought she had no feelings for him at all. Chi Lu called Xian Wei over to settle the score with Chu Xia. He used his authority to say that if Chu Xia had any problems in the future, it would be all her fault, to teach her a lesson. This made Xian Wei even angrier. What was so good about Chu Xia? So when she saw Jiang Yuan asking Chi Lu to pick up Chu Xia after school, she deleted the message. Jiang Yuan was anxiously waiting for her son to come home because it was raining heavily. But when Chi Lu returned, it was just her. She immediately ordered him to go find Chu Xia. Meanwhile, Chu Xia was on a car that looked exactly like Chi Lu's when she was surprised to see Xian Wei. She had bought everything that looked exactly like his, and she was singing the same sad song. Why wasn't she loved even though she was so outstanding? Chu Xia was only loved because she resembled his ex-girlfriend. When Chi Lu went to the school and asked the security guard, he learned that Chu Xia had been taken by Xian Wei. He rushed after her in a panic. Xian Wei became even more crazy as she spoke. She envied everything Chi Lu and Han Yu gave to Chu Xia and constantly insulted her. Finally, she dropped Chu Xia off in a secluded alleyway in the middle of the night, in the heavy rain and darkness. Was she also being used? Just when she was feeling helpless and didn't know what to do, Chi Lu appeared. Why was he always there when she was in trouble? He naturally helped her into the car. How could she not be moved? He even waited for her to return to his family's royal hotel to bathe and change into clean clothes, not forgetting to ask the staff to buy sanitary pads for her. While she was bathing, he gathered all his courage and confessed his feelings again, but he didn't hear any response from her. He went in worried and got scolded by her as a pervert. It was so frustrating. He wanted someone to understand his heart. The staff brought her things, and he learned that the rooms here were soundproof. It seemed his confession had gone to waste. When Chu Xia opened the package and saw the condoms, she scolded him again. At this point, he had no choice but to corner her. The more panicked she got, the more she kicked him in the crotch. Qi Lu was speechless. He didn't want to argue anymore. He went out to buy her whatever she needed. How awkward for the rich young master to buy sanitary pads for his girlfriend for the first time. Qi Lu once again gathered all his courage. Finally, he had gotten his hands on her. Not bad. Chu Xia kept thinking about what Xian Wei had said. You are just a shadow of his ex-girlfriend. So even though she was very grateful for what happened today, she still said the heartbreaking words, "It would be better if you didn't stay with me." Seeing the two of them come home and being cold to each other, Zhang Yuan pulled Chu Xia into the room and told her about Qi Lu's ex-girlfriend's story. She hoped that Chu Xia, who understood love, could help her son return to his old self. The next day, Chu Xia returned to her old alley. She overheard Feng Xiao talking and learned that he also had feelings for her. Oh, love was so complicated. Everyone had their own scars. Maybe she didn't understand Qi Lu. When she went to help Dr. Maria, she was still thinking about that and couldn't concentrate. Dr. Maria said with concern, loving someone means always having them in your heart, being able to change yourself for them. But when you are hurt, it is easy to become crazy. The test scores were released. Teacher Jiangua announced that Chu Xia got a perfect score, but before she could celebrate, he announced that the school would discipline her for cheating. No one believed her. Going from a village school to a prestigious school and achieving such a record, Chu Xia was furious, determined to prove herself by retaking the test under his supervision. If she failed, she would leave the school. This news shocked all the students. Needless to say, she solved all the problems again. But the teacher saw a different solution to one of the problems, so he thought it was wrong. But he didn't know that she had used a more advanced algorithm and even pointed out the page number in the book, making him speechless. He could only avoid the issue and scold the other students for not studying hard. She decided to humiliate the teacher by making a bet. If her class won first place under her guidance, he had to apologize to each student. Because of his pride, he had to agree. Whenever they met, Xian Wei would look for trouble. But this time Chu Xia just focused on the competition and didn't bother to argue with her. But in contrast to the rest of the class, only she was enthusiastic while everyone else was indifferent to this competition. They didn't think they were good enough. Although she tried to encourage their discouraged spirits, she happened to meet Feng Xiao. He was just relieving stress. The two of them joined in. Even a whole amusement park couldn't make Chu Xia feel better. Seeing her dejected, Feng Xiao gave her some advice. If you can't persuade her, use force. When you need to fight, fight. She was completely exhausted. Xiaonan was too busy having fun and lost her phone. As soon as she yelled, a handsome guy stepped in to help and got her phone back with one move. Chu Xia ran after him, thinking he was a thief, and kicked him, leaving him no time to react. She even confidently introduced herself. He was so shocked because he was trying to help and ended up being blamed. The next day, Chu Xia continued to urge everyone to study. This time, she even came up with punishments. But then a new face appeared in the class. Surprised? It was the guy from yesterday. He strongly opposed her methods and even dared to challenge her to read 2 thick books in 2 days before he would believe her skills and listen to her. With her personality, Chu Xia naturally agreed. That night, Qi Lu was surprised when he saw her reading one book and hearing someone read another book. Seeing her so serious, he didn't dare to tease her. The next day in class, she confidently showed her personality. No matter what anyone asked, she answered correctly, astonishing everyone. She really made everyone look at her differently from now on. They had to accept the exam. Seeing her diligence and enthusiasm, Qi Lu could only silently cheer her on. The learning spirit of Class B was so high that they even studied while going to the bathroom. Wanzi accidentally overheard Chu Xia's bet and told Xian Wei if she really won, her status in the school would soar, pushing Xian Wei further away from Qi Lu. Chun Chuan was really attracted to Chu Xia after their bet, so he kept finding excuses to be close to her. Today, he asked her to translate English for him, even though he had just returned from studying in the US. Qi Lu also arrived. He reminded her that he was her support, and that if she lost, he would help her. But Chuxia felt like she was being looked down on, so she was even more determined. But Class B's academic performance was not good enough to win the bet. To make her see clearly, he suggested they have a test with Teacher Ma. Both of them achieved perfect scores, but the teacher declared Qi Lu the winner. It turned out that in the same amount of time, he had two different solutions. Chuxia conceded defeat. Han Yu rushed to comfort Chuxia, thinking it was a golden opportunity to get revenge on Qi Lu. She was happy using a stick to attack him from behind, then fiercely shot him with a gun, and finally forced him to eat excessively. Han Yu dragged her back. Now she realized the huge gap in ability between the two classes, which made her lose heart. He offered to help her. At this time, the students in Class B also showed their determination and worked hard, giving her more confidence. Teacher Ma was very surprised to see Class B studying so seriously. Xiao Nan and Chen Xuan took the opportunity to be close to each other. Qi Lu caught Chen Xuan flirting with Chuxia in the bookstore. Jealousy flared up, and he decided to make his life miserable. Even when he was at home, Chuxia was constantly teaching her classmates and didn't have any time for Qi Lu to intervene. Chen Xuan wanted Chuxia to participate in the school's upcoming beauty pageant, so he set a trap, saying that if she participated, he would try his best to study. Seeing that Teacher Ma was much more terrifying, she agreed without hesitation. From then on, he became much more diligent. All of Class B ran together and recited math exercises aloud, which surprised everyone. It was understandable. The competition was approaching. The results were out. Class B beat Class A, but they didn't get first place in the city. Chuxia lost to Teacher Jianghua. It turned out that both Qi Lu and Han Yu were deliberately not trying their best so that Class B wouldn't score higher. They thought that was how to protect her. Chuxia went to acknowledge her defeat to Teacher Ma. Class B rushed in and nagged him, making him annoyed. But he still made Chuxia accept her punishment. But it was to be the class monitor of Class B. It seemed that he was fair after all. Class B was making so much progress thanks to her. She ran into 3 disasters. 3 guys were vying for her attention. Luckily, Xiaonan ran over and broke them up. She received an encouraging letter from Teacher Yu Tian and was supported by her friends, which gave her more confidence in her future. Today, the girls in the school were all in an uproar. They thought an alien was coming, but it turned out that it was just the 2 male gods, Qi Lu and Han Yu, playing basketball. Chuxia went over and saw Xin Wei taken care of. Qi Lu. She wanted to turn around and leave, but she was called back by Xin Wei, who arrogantly revealed that she was causing trouble for Chuxia. Chen Xuan ran over and saw how arrogant she was. Chuxia decided to participate in the beauty pageant, directly declaring war on her. She would only be satisfied when she completely defeated her. The news was announced to Class B, and everyone fully supported her. But this was a tough task because she had no experience in beauty pageants. Chuxia sought help from Dr. Maria. It was a difficult case, but Dr. Maria patiently and diligently taught her. She practiced diligently with Dr. Maria every day, and Han Yu always knew about Chuxia's dates with Han Yu to buy outfits. Qi Lu couldn't let it go. He decided to annoy her by asking Xin Wei to go shopping with him. He searched anxiously for a long time, and finally saw her, taking the initiative to put his arm around her waist and hold her hand affectionately with Xin Wei to make Chuxia jealous. She wasn't going to stand for that either. She got close to Han Yu to make Qi Lu jealous. In the eyes of the male gods, there was only Chuxia, but they had to pretend not to care. When he saw Han Yu put on her shoes, Qi Lu was so jealous that he took out his anger on Xin Wei by zipping up her jacket, making her scream. It was so messy. After trying on many outfits, they finally found one that they liked. They went to the haunted house together. They were all scared, but they wanted to show off. As soon as they went in, everyone's faces turned pale. How did Chuxia and Qi Lu end up separated? Qi Lu was gone. Xin Wei became furious. In the pitch-black room, not seeing Qi Lu, Chuxia yelled in panic and stumbled around looking for him. She felt someone touch her and swung her hand in fright. It hit Qi Lu right in the face, but he didn't scold her. Later, he had an idea to adjust the lights and shine them on a painting of a starry sky that appeared really beautiful. Suddenly, the two of them wanted to get closer. Qi Lu gathered his courage and wanted to kiss her, but he was disturbed by a ghost. He punched it, but then remembered that they were just staff and couldn't hit people, so he felt guilty. After this rough round, the ghosts must have all gone for treatment. That night, Qi Lu went to Chuxia's room to get his ointment. He accidentally dropped her stuff on the bed. He was wiping it up when she came back and kicked him, calling him a pervert. They were arguing when his mother caught them. Unexpectedly, The person who had been communicating with Chu Xia through the wall in the old neighborhood was Qi Lu. This time, she left a message saying she wanted to know his name. Qi Lu came to answer, saying that was trivial. After reading the message, Chu Xia decided to meet up. Just then, Qi Lu returned because he dropped a stone. Now, he knew it was her. Man Kuei had returned from the US. It seemed like a new storm was brewing. Very quickly, the beauty pageant arrived. Chu Xia was initially quite nervous and shy, but in the end, she overcame herself and successfully completed the competition. It was so touching to see everyone by her side and Han Yu giving her confidence. There was still another round of competition, and Chu Xia still had a lot to work on. Xian Wei was full of confidence. Her face was still turned up to the sky. She challenged the class, seeing all kinds of gifts, flowers, and cakes from her fans being given to Chu Xia. She felt even more pressure. The final competition day arrived. Xian Wei gave a speech about how inner beauty was the most beautiful and then walked backstage. Xian Wei had planned a dirty trick on Chu Xia. While Chu Xia was giving her presentation, she played a video of Chu Xia and Feng Xiao wandering the streets. Seeing everyone pointing fingers, Chu Xia was taken aback. But she used it as a stepping stone to talk about her difficult past. Her mother once told her not to care about what other people think, to live her own life and be happy. From then on, she changed herself, becoming stronger, no longer afraid of anyone bullying her, because she wanted to be truly happy. Her presentation brought tears to many people's eyes. After losing this round, Xian Wei decided to play another trick. She cut up Chu Xia's outfit and threw it in the trash. She wouldn't lose to this villain, so Chu Xia found a sewing machine to fix it. She prayed for her mother's blessing. Qi Lu, knowing about the situation, left his performance early and went to her, offering to be the background for the starry sky painting, saying she could sing Little Star, and it would be perfect. Chu Xia was truly moved by his kindness and cried. Seeing her friend's happiness, Xiaonan also decided to confess to her crush, but Chen Chuan, on the other hand, was practicing his confession to Chu Xia. At the place where Chu Xia was going out, Han Yu was taken away by someone. Chu Xia also received a call from a stranger saying they had found her father and arranged to meet in the lobby. She abandoned everything and ran down. In the final act, under the stage lights, Qi Lu performed a solo of Little Star. When he was finished, he wanted to confess his feelings to Chu Xia again on this important day, but the person who took off their mask was Man Kuei. The entire hall was stunned. Meanwhile, Chu Xia went out according to the instructions and was taken away in a car. Han Yu heard Chu Xia scream, knowing something was wrong. He got out of the car to stop them, but the car bumped into him and they drove away. He called Qi Lu. Qi Lu was looking for Chu Xia in the dressing room, so he rushed out, calling Qin Chuan and Xiaonan. Xiaonan also informed Feng Xiao. They all gathered to chase after the kidnapper. It turned out to be Gao Gong. He wanted to get revenge on Qi Lu for what happened with Xiao Shui and was messing with Chu Xia because he knew she was important to him. Qi Lu went to the place where Chu Xia was being held alone. When he received a message from him, he fought alone against a group of tall, strong men that he had hired. Seeing that Qi Lu was unharmed, he turned to take Chu Xia hostage, threatening Qi Lu. Qi Lu had no choice but to accept the blows without fighting back. Chu Xia yelled for a while, and then bit his hand and ran away. This point, he wanted to personally cripple Qi Lu's leg. Chu Xia flew over to protect him. Luckily, her teammates arrived just in time. No words were needed, no fighting was required, just the sound of police sirens, and the men were terrified and ran away. The school beauty pageant continued, and the winner was none other than Xian Wei. When she got home, Chu Xia tenderly took care of his injuries. She wasn't holding back anymore. He once again asked her to be his girlfriend. It seemed like a passionate kiss was coming, but then the phone rang. Qi Lu answered casually, as if he didn't want to be involved anymore. It was Man Kuei. It turned out that Man Kuei was the new student in Class B. She had given up the opportunity to study at the main headquarters in England and returned to China. She even took the initiative to get to know and chat with Chu Xia. Chu Xia remembered what Zhang Yuan had told her and remembered Qi Lu's excited attitude when he mentioned Man Kuei, and she was truly apprehensive. With Man Kuei around, all the boys' attention was no longer focused on Xian Wei. She was alone. Chu Xia had another formidable opponent. What could she do? After the kidnapping, both Chen Chuan and Feng Xiao stayed close to her 24/7 to protect her and make sure she didn't get hurt. They became brothers without realizing it. Feng Xiao even shared his books and passed on his secrets. The girl Chen Chuan seemed to have finally seen the light. What did he come up with? He declared himself as Chu Xia's bodyguard. Anyone who wanted to get close to her had to go through him. Chu Xia was speechless. He chased away anyone who got near her. Chi-Lu was waiting for her after school and saw this, couldn't stand it, and went home early. Seeing his son sulking, the butler gave him advice. Girls have to be pursued. He gave Chi-Lu a gift to give to Chu-Xia. Chu-Xia ran into Xian Wei again. She was putting on airs because she won the beauty pageant. Chen Chuan refused to argue with her. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Chu-Xia quickly slipped away. Unexpectedly, she was stopped by 3 men in black outside and forced into a car. She was making too much noise, so they had to cover her mouth. But you invite someone to your house and treat them like this, who wouldn't be angry? When they got there, an old man was waiting and started probing. Not knowing what he wanted, he picked up a glass of water and brought it to her. Chu-Xia thought he was going to bash her head in, so she used all her strength to grab his hand to stop him. The bodyguards were about to attack. Suddenly, Han Yu's voice yelled out. It turned out to be his grandfather. Chu-Xia was still feeling guilty and afraid of being punished, but instead, he praised her so much. He even announced that she would be his granddaughter-in-law and would get married after she graduated. It was so outlandish. Not only that, he even sent someone to find a fortune teller to choose a date for the wedding banquet and book plane tickets for their honeymoon. There was no other way but for Chu-Xia to say that she already had a fiancé to stop his intentions. He waited for Chu-Xia for a long time and then received a call from Xiao Nan saying that she wasn't going with them. Chi-Lu immediately imagined Chu-Xia being bullied by Chen Chuan and went to find her. He opened the door and saw Chen Chuan standing there. Where was Chu-Xia? At this time, Mr. Lang's car arrived. Chu-Xia got out and went with him. Zhang Yuan greeted him warmly. It turned out that he had come to discuss the matter of his future granddaughter-in-law and wanted to take Chu-Xia home with him. Both Zhang Yuan and Chen Chuan fiercely opposed this. The struggle continued. Chu-Xia had to leave first. Chi-Lu wanted to ask why she didn't answer his calls. He was so worried but wouldn't admit it, even criticizing her for being so popular. This made Chu-Xia angry. Just yesterday, he said he liked her. Now he's scolding her, so he doesn't like her anymore. The next day, Chu-Xia refused to ride with Chi-Lu and thought she was right. Xian Wei saw Chen Chuan pursuing Chu-Xia and added fuel to the fire, making Chi-Lu truly think about it. That night, Man Kuei went to Chi-Lu's house. She brought gifts for everyone, but the wound she had inflicted on Zhang Yuan hadn't healed yet. She was very cold towards her and wanted her to leave early. Chi-Lu appeared, wanting to meet with her alone. Man Kuei wanted to hold on, recalling many things from the past, but for him, she was nothing now. She apologized and left. Zhang Yuan had been watching and felt relieved. How could the school add a drama class? This time when they drew lots, Chi-Lu would be playing the lead role with Man Kuei. Hearing this, Chu-Xia felt a little sad. Xian Wei now had to deal with a new competitor. Chi-Lu took advantage of Chu-Xia cleaning the storeroom alone and wanted to give her a gift, but she was still angry and wanted him to stay away. He became angry and his cocky mouth started criticizing her for being ugly and stupid. Chu-Xia was even more furious and chased him out with a few sticks. Then it was time for the rehearsal. Chi-Lu deliberately changed his lines, scolding Xian Wei for daring to make fun of Chu-Xia and saying everything to Chu-Xia, trying to pull her to his side. The teacher kept praising him. Chu-Xia was angry, so he kept pushing. Wanzi was going to push Chu-Xia over, but she ended up falling into Chi-Lu's arms. Xian Wei immediately stood up. Chen Chuan also rushed over and pushed her down. Xian Wei played the victim, demanding compensation from Chu-Xia. When Man Kuei said to check the camera, she finally shut up. It turned out that Chen Chuan was the one Xian Wei sent to charm Chu-Xia and take her away from Chi-Lu. But he actually fell in love with Chu-Xia. Xiaonan overheard this and took Chu-Xia to confront him. It turned out that Chen Chuan was Xian Wei's cousin. She had made up the whole thing when she saw him at school. At this point, Chen Chuan decided to confess his feelings. He stood in front of everyone and declared his love for Chu-Xia. Chi-Lu saw this and thought he had no chance, so he threw the ball into the trash can. But when they got into the car and saw the two of them arguing, the butler mentioned the gift and they forgot to give it to her. So the situation didn't improve. That night, Chu-Xia still went to apply medicine for him. He couldn't miss this opportunity. He gave her the gift. She was delighted and thanked him. She also confirmed that she didn't like Chen Chuan, which made Chi-Lu incredibly happy. He demanded she get closer and then suddenly kissed her, making Chu-Xia blush. That night, Chi-Lu was still floating on the feeling of happiness. It seemed that girls really had to be pursued. Chen Chuan's extraordinary background was announced to the entire school. Chu-Xia didn't care and made an appointment with him, making it clear that she only wanted to be friends, but he was stubborn and still wanted to pursue her, so she had to resort to violence and kicked him a few times. Feng Xiao was now working for teacher Ma. Chen Xuan met his brother and exchanged tips. Feng Xiao also supported him because he didn't like Qi Lu. Now that someone else was taking Chu Xiao away, he felt less worried. While Chu Xiao was playing basketball, Man Kuei took the lead to ask to join in. Xiaonan didn't like her at all and didn't want Chu Xiao to be close to her. But Chu Xiao didn't think much of it. When the ball rolled into the bushes, Chu Xiao went to pick it up. A man in a full-body suit wanted to touch her, but before he could, he fainted because Dr. Maria had discovered him and was following him. For the past few days, Chu Xiao had seen him and yelled, but it turned out to be our beloved teacher Yu Tia. He woke up and ate a few bowls of noodles in a row. Even Chen Xuan didn't believe that this was the talented teacher that everyone talked about. Knowing that the teacher might be staying here for a while, he flattered Chu Xia by saying that he would ask his father to talk to the headmaster to get him back to teach at the school. So teacher Yu Tian returned to the class to everyone's welcome. They were all so happy, but then Chu Xia received her dance score and was upset because her limbs were stiff and she had to retake the exam. Chen Xuan offered to help, but she didn't need it. In the middle of the night, Qi Lu was looking at the stars when he heard her shouting. It turned out that she was practicing dancing. Knowing she was about to take the exam, he said, "Let me teach you." She stepped on his foot a few times, and he knew what the shout was about. So he got an idea and told her to take off her shoes. She stepped her 2 feet onto his in the rhythm of the music. They moved gently step by step. So romantic. Chu Xia was choosing a gift with Xiao Nan for teacher Yu Tian's welcoming party. At Qi Lu's house, Man Kuei arrived. Unexpectedly, her suggestion was the most suitable one so far. Seeing this, Chu Xia invited her to join the fun. The party was going well when Chen Xuan showed up to attend teacher Yu Tian's party, bringing flowers for Chu Xia. He also pushed everyone away so he could sit next to her. Next was a fight for the beautiful woman. Chen Xuan was very charming and peeled shrimp for her, but when he gave it to her, Qi Lu snatched it away. Man Kuei could only watch them with her eyes. She looked so lonely. Seeing her son's rival was not easy to deal with. Jiang Yuan played a trick by asking her son to dance so he could show off. Teacher Yu Tian also wanted to ask Dr. Maria to dance, but suddenly a Western girl came over and hugged the teacher tightly. It turned out to be his fiancée. Dr. Maria was heartbroken and left. Teacher Yu Tian actually had no feelings for that Western girl. The person he had in his heart was Dr. Maria, but he didn't know how to face her. Chen Xuan spent the whole evening looking at the intimacy of Qi Lu and Chu Xia. By this morning, he had no life left, like someone who had been heartbroken. Qi Lu asked Chu Xia to go for coffee, but he wanted her to pay because he taught her how to dance. But she said it was expensive here and she was spending his money. She would pay him back later. This made him suddenly remember Man Kuei saying the same thing and he was stunned. Speak of the devil, and the devil appears. Man Kuei brought up the past again, making Qi Lu angry, and he left. She sat and cried to Chu Xia, who could only comfort her. Feng Xiao gave her a new way to chase a girl. Create some alone time with them. Chen Xuan ran over excitedly and invited Chu Xia to his resort. She was having a headache because of Qi Lu's fickleness, and Chen Xuan was nagging her, making her scold him. Xiaonan couldn't accept Chu Xia's attitude towards someone who was so kind to her and scolded her. Why was she treating him like that? Chen Xuan, heartbroken, went to find Feng Xiao. Just then, Chu Xia called looking for him. Feng Xiao pretended that he wasn't there and asked what she wanted to do. When she said she agreed to go, Chen Xuan, lacking the will to resist, yelled in joy. Unexpectedly, the next day, she brought 2 more people with her. What a dream crusher. Xian Wei caught this scene and took a picture to post on the school group. Qi Lu read the rumors about them dating and was furious. He quickly arrived and met up with their group. Chen Xuan, even though he didn't welcome him, had to let him share a room with them. The 2 rich young masters, no longer staying here for a girl, were fighting over a tiny bed. After Chen Xuan was done playing tricks, Qi Lu fell fast asleep. But then Chen Xuan started farting and put his feet up and he even snored. Qi Lu couldn't sleep, so he got up and went for a walk. Unexpectedly, he ran into Chu Xia. He found out that she hadn't come here for Chen Xuan. Their relationship wasn't like the rumors, which made him feel a little happy. Suddenly, Chu Xia mentioned Man Kuei. She thought he hadn't let go of her and pushed her away, but he was hurting himself. He said that she didn't understand at all. He cared about her feelings. The next day, while grilling skewers, Chen Xuan wanted to help Qi Lu, but Qi Lu rudely pushed him away, making his hand touch the skewer and bleed. Chu Xia wanted him to apologize to Chen Xuan, but Qi Lu was arrogant and thought he was right. which made her angry and she scolded him. What a hopeless case. Chi-Lu went to a different spot. Man Kuei followed him to talk. Xiaonan also advised Chu Xia not to avoid him. If she liked Chi-Lu, just say it. Otherwise, give Qinchuan a chance. Man Kuei saw that Chi-Lu had changed since she came back. She begged him not to ignore her, but his heart was cold because of the wound. Some things had already happened, and there was no turning back. Chu Xia felt stressed and went for a walk by herself. Xian Wei took advantage of this and pretended to cry for help, tricking her into a room and locking her in. Man Kuei walked by and didn't even care. Xian Wei wanted to cooperate to overthrow Chu Xia. She even thought that Xian Wei wasn't qualified enough. How scary. Upon discovering Chu Xia's disappearance, Chi-Lu angrily confronted Chen Chuan. They split up to find her. Meanwhile, Chu Xia was exhausted from calling out. Her phone had no signal and the battery was dead. She almost gave up, but after sitting for a while, she decided to go out. She kicked the door hard, hoping to break it. Ouch, it hurt. Luckily, Chi-Lu walked by and rushed to call Chen Chuan to inform him. He came back and sat with her to calm her down. He said that if she disappeared, he would find out and he would definitely find her. This warmed her heart. At this moment, the two of them finally explained themselves. She did it to help him so he wouldn't be haunted by the past. Chen Chuan arrived. As soon as the door opened, she hugged Chi-Lu tightly. I'm okay, he comforted her. Man Kuei was disappointed and left. Chen Chuan pulled Chi-Lu back and declared, he likes Chu Xia, and no matter what, I won't give her up. Han Yu had been recovering from his injuries for a long time and returned to school. He went to see Chu Xia first, wanting to invite her to visit his grandfather at home on the weekend. He then went to see Chi-Lu. Knowing that Man Kuei had returned, he also advised Chi-Lu to be decisive in their relationship so as not to hurt Chu Xia. So Chi-Lu didn't ignore her anymore. Seeing that she wasn't feeling well, he helped her to the infirmary. She thought they were making progress. When teacher Yu Tian saw Dr. Maria's application for a border assignment, he finally gathered the courage to confess his feelings to her to try and keep her. He had been waiting for this day. The two were happy when the Western girl arrived and was disappointed. She ran away and bumped into teacher Ma. Unexpectedly, she fell in love with him. Chu Xia went to meet Han Yu's grandfather. Knowing that she liked fashion design, he showed her the designs he had collected. Unexpectedly, a picture of her mother fell out. She was surprised to learn that he and her mother were old friends. This gave her some clues that could help her find her father. Man Kuei got tickets to see an astronomy exhibition and wanted to invite Chi-Lu to go with her. Seeing her pleading so earnestly, he said he would think about it. Chu Xia went home and looked at her mother's picture, crying her heart out. It was so sad. She decided to find the man in the picture. She went to Chi-Lu's room, wanting to ask for his help, but saw that he was about to go out, so she stopped. Later, she left a note saying that she would go to Xiao Nan's house and then take the bus, not knowing she had dropped her train ticket. Chi-Lu went into the room to call her back and accidentally saw the ticket. He thought she was running away with Chen Chuan, so he went downstairs just as she was turning back in front of the gate. Knowing that she wanted to find her father, he decided to go with her. Man Kuei was all dressed up and waiting for him, but he stood her up. She kept waiting until her stomach started hurting because of acute gastritis and was taken to the hospital. Meanwhile, Chu Xia suddenly didn't want to go anymore. Chi-Lu understood her fear of not finding her father, or if she did find him, he wouldn't be who she thought he was, so he comforted her. There are more things you have to face. You have me by your side. At this moment, the hospital called. Chi-Lu wanted to ask the butler to check it out, but Chu Xia advised him to go there. Her matter could be put aside. There were things she had to face and he had her by his side. They both went to the hospital. Chi-Lu only asked a few casual questions and left. Chu Xia planned to call Jiang Yuan, but she realized she had left her phone in the hospital room. She went back just in time to see Man Kuei taking medicine. Chi-Lu stopped her. She cried and said she didn't want to continue these miserable days. After calming down, she said that she was so stressed that she became addicted to drugs. In the past, to be independent and escape from the Han family, she left, but when she was far away from him, she wasn't herself anymore, so she came back. In a moment of weakness, he hugged her and comforted her. Chu Xia suddenly felt like she was needless and went out. It turned out that it was all her trick. She hid Chu Xia's phone, waited for them to come back, and took out a pile of drugs to act out her pain so that people would feel sorry for her. At school, the young designer competition was announced, with the prize being a scholarship to study in France. Chu Xia was very excited, but then she ran into Xian Wei, who loved to criticize her. Moreover, This competition was organized by the Jiang family, which made Chu Xia a little self-conscious and discouraged. Man Kuei got out of Qi Lu's car. He had gone to the hospital to pick her up for school. Everyone was pointing fingers. It seemed that she was very proud. Chu Xia wasn't happy at all when she saw her. But then she went up to Chu Xia and thanked her for helping her reconnect with Qi Lu. She also invited her to dinner. Xiaonan didn't want Chu Xia to go, so she used the excuse of doing homework. Unexpectedly, Xianwei said it was great because she could go out with Qi Lu alone. Wasn't she annoyed? Knowing that Chu Xia was participating in the design competition, Xianwei was furious. Qi Lu stood in front of the classroom waiting to ask Chu Xia if she wanted to go out to eat that night. So frustrating. He was making her a third wheel. Xiaonan convinced Chu Xia to go because of a woman's dignity. But it felt so wrong. Chu Xia was sitting there like an invisible person, watching them be intimate. She was about to leave, but was forced to stay. Man Kuei even deliberately mentioned Chu Xia's participation in the design competition. Qi Lu's face changed completely. Later, when they were alone, he returned to care for her. Chu Xia felt so tired of this ambiguous relationship and wanted to set clear boundaries. Qi Lu said that she was participating in the competition to go to France and wouldn't be involved with him anymore. He was angry and forcibly kissed her. Chu Xia couldn't understand what he was thinking. It turned out that he was afraid of being hurt again like before. Teacher Yu Tian gave out the registration forms for the competition, but Chu Xia's was missing. Xiaonan thought Xianwei was up to something and went to confront her, but Xianwei pretended to be clueless. After being scolded, she couldn't let it go and decided to get justice for herself. She went to Class B and rummaged through everything. Unexpectedly, she found it in Man Kuei's book. Man Kuei said she was falsely accused, but Xianwei interjected and shared the story of the sisterly bond between Man Kuei and Chu Xia. Man Kuei was powerless because no one believed her when Qi Lu walked in, declared that he believed her and protected her in front of everyone. Chu Xia didn't want to participate in the competition anymore, so she didn't want to make a big deal of it and didn't care who had stolen the form. Seeing that Chu Xia still didn't believe her, Man Kuei ran out in sadness, thinking she had falsely accused her. Chu Xia chased after her and apologized. Qi Lu went to the rooftop when Man Kuei hugged him. Chu Xia followed and saw Chen Chuan, quickly covering her eyes, turning around and hugging her. Later, he advised her that if she liked Qi Lu, she should say it. Don't beat around the bush. Don't challenge ambiguous feelings that are difficult to figure out, easy to deny, easy to change, and easy to lose. Express your feelings, don't suffer. Chu Xia seemed to feel lighter. After school, Chu Xia went home with Hanyu. The three of them had a happy meal together. Hanyu was about to go abroad to study, and his grandfather also suggested that if she wanted, he would take her with him. Qi Lu waited for her anxiously, his eyes heavy with sleep. But when he heard the doorbell, he ran to open the door, seeing Chu Xia with Hanyu, and they were talking ambiguously. He called her over to his room to talk. He said he could send her to a good school and open a shop for her, but she said she wanted to rely on her own efforts. So he understood that she wanted to participate in the competition and go abroad. The next day, at school, someone had written about Man Kuei stealing the form. She immediately blamed Xiaonan. Chu Xia stepped in to defend her, but she said that she didn't consider her a friend. Chu Xia was explaining when Qi Lu yelled, "Anyone who dares to confront Man Kuei is confronting me." Feng Xiao heard the rumors about Chu Xia being scolded by Qi Lu in front of everyone and pulled him aside to settle the score. Angry, Qi Lu took out his anger on Chu Xia. Chu Xia wouldn't let it go and declared, "Anyone who touches your friend is confronting me." Then she left. Even though she thought it was right to protect her friends, Chu Xia still sighed because she had turned against Qi Lu. Actually, she had given up on her feelings for Qi Lu and wouldn't interfere with him and Man Kuei. It's just that she gave up the competition because of him. At this time, Chen Chuan appeared, holding out the registration form. He had used his connections to get it. Chu Xia hugged him happily and thanked him. Chen Chuan was ecstatic, like he was walking on clouds. Little did he know that it was all a plan of Xianwei and Man Kuei. Man Kuei was invited to be a judge in the design competition, which surprised her. A month ago, while working, she had cut her hand on a piece of pottery. This injury made it impossible for her to design. Qi Lu returned home and was furious, angrily looking at Chu Xia's picture. Not enough. He pulled her into the room and gave her a lecture. Chu Xia didn't listen to a word and just concluded that she would participate in the competition. Knowing that Chu Xia was also participating in the competition, Xianwei was worried and went to find Man Kuei. But with Man Kuei as a judge, what did she have to fear? Seeing Qi Lu with Man Kuei, Xiaonan took Chu Xia to follow them. Qin Chuan saw this and rushed over, saying he had found a hotel for Chu Xia to focus on her work. Chu Xia initially objected, but seeing Qi Lu taking care of Man Kuei, she decided to move out immediately. The preliminary round of the competition officially began. The challenge was to draw creative designs on clothes. Chu Xia thought long and hard and finally came up with an idea. After an hour, the entries were finished. The judges gave their scores and now the results were in hand. Unexpectedly, Chu Xia won first place in this round. Qi Lu watched her from afar and was very proud. Chu Xia returned to the wall where the old waves had been. She missed her mother and was happy that she was getting closer to her mother's dream. Suddenly, she saw a congratulatory message on the wall. Did that person know she was participating in the competition? That evening, Qi Lu was looking forward to Chu Xia returning home to celebrate. The doorbell rang and he ran out. It turned out to be his father. The next day, he went to school in a sad mood and even invited Man Kuei to skip class and race with him. He was about to go to England to study economics, fulfilling his father's wishes. Chu Xia went to class to find him, knowing they were together. She looked for Man Kuei with her eyes. Why hadn't they come back yet? Later, she was dragged to a celebration party organized by her friends. Qi Lu was so heartbroken. He had blamed Chu Xia for participating in the competition, to go to France and leaving him, but now he was the one who had to leave. He went to the wall and wrote a farewell message. He couldn't bear to leave, so he took the cat home with him. Chu Xia was sad because of Qi Lu and got drunk. Chen Chuan was beside her, but she kept calling out Qi Lu's name. Qi Lu's father was worried and waited for his son to come home. The company had problems and his health wasn't good, so he wanted Qi Lu to take over soon. But when he came home, he didn't agree to go abroad to study and didn't want to be a businessman, which made him angry and his condition worsened. When Chu Xia found out that Qi Lu wasn't going to school because his father had been hospitalized, she ran out of the classroom. She didn't know if it was for Qi Lu's father, her mother, or Qi Lu, but she would wait for him. Qi Lu looked at his father in the hospital bed, tears flowing. The company secretary came in. The investment project had failed, the budget was short, and the shareholders all wanted to withdraw their shares. He had to step in and take charge. Chu Xia arrived and saw this, and her tears flowed too. She hoped that Qi Lu's father and her mother could try their best to live well, just as she was trying her best to pursue her dream. Qi Lu was required to find a new investor within a week and raise 100 million yuan so the shareholders wouldn't dissolve the company. It was so stressful. Knowing that Qi Lu didn't like being alone, Chu Xia packed her bags and moved in to keep him company so he wouldn't be so sad. Qi Lu quickly hid the cat, not wanting her to find out. Being alone with her was a time for him to express his feelings. He pinched her cheek and said that no matter what happened, they shouldn't argue anymore. He even chuckled because he was happy to see her. He took the opportunity to hug her. Just as he wanted to kiss her, the cat meowed. Afraid of being exposed, he immediately coaxed her to go to sleep. In the morning, Chu Xia tried her best, but she only managed to make an omelette. Just looking at it, you could see that it was a good effort. But when she took a bite, oh my goodness, Qi Lu had to run to the bathroom. Qi Lu made peace with Xiao Nan and became good friends with Chu Xia. Xian Wei was jealous when she saw their good relationship. She went to see Qi Lu and made a deal, saying that if he agreed to love her, her Zhang family's company would save his family's company. Qi Lu only said one simple sentence. They all knew what he meant. Man Kuei was right there and looked down on her. Qi Lu's father woke up. Chu Xia moved in with Qi Lu, which made his parents feel at ease. Chu Xia was eager to buy soy sauce to prepare food. But when she got there, she saw Man Kuei standing there cooking. She was out of luck. She wanted to give them some privacy and turned around, but Qi Lu pulled her back. She had to go into the kitchen and help. When the water boiled, Man Kuei opened the lid but dropped it. She said it was too hot. Qi Lu was worried and concerned. Chu Xia picked up the lid and put it back on, but it wasn't hot. Was she pretending? During dinner, Chu Xia continued to experience the feeling of being invisible and had to watch their intimacy. To top it off, Qi Lu kept criticizing her cooking and saying she was as fat as a pig. Luckily, a call from Chen Chuan saved her from there. Man Kuei took advantage of the time when they were alone and leaned against Qi Lu, but he quickly avoided her and invited her to leave early. Chu Xia was upset and kept drinking, one glass after another. This was exactly what the two men wanted because they wanted to make her drunk and take her away, not letting her stay with Qi Lu overnight. But Chen Chuan got drunk before she did. Qi Lu worriedly called her to pick her up, but Chu Xia didn't want him to, which made him furious. The two drunks then ran away because they were afraid Qi Lu would find them, and they didn't even pay. She didn't go home all night. which made Chi Lu toss and turn all night. The next morning, they were caught sleeping on the bench in the schoolyard. Everyone gathered around and took pictures without stopping. They were so embarrassed, they wanted to disappear. Chi Lu found out, and his jealousy made him angry. But she also argued that he ignored her when Man Kuei was around. These two couldn't stop arguing, could they? Wow, the company was making progress. They had a new investor. Chi Lu went there and was surprised to find that it was Han Yu. Chen Chuan, who had no feelings for Chu Xia, was determined to claim his responsibility. He even used a huge bouquet of roses to express his sincerity. Just as Chu Xia was about to run away from Chen Chuan, Chi Lu's car arrived. The competition became more intense as all three of them wanted her to be theirs. At the party to welcome Han Yu back, Chi Lu jokingly said that Chu Xia was a servant belonging to him, so he had sold her to Han Yu to raise 100 million yuan to save the company. This made her feel like she was being bought and sold and not valued. Angry, she took Chen Chuan's hand and said that they were a couple. Just then, Man Kuei arrived. Chi Lu, who couldn't stand to lose, kept drinking even though she was out of the game. The four of them found their own entertainment by playing poker. How come Xiaonan won every time? Bad luck in love, good luck in gambling. They were bored and stopped playing. At this moment, the lights went out suddenly. When they went outside, the guests were gone. They heard that Chi Lu was drunk. Man Kuei took him home. Chu Xia's face fell. Chen Chuan took her home. Unexpectedly, Man Kuei took Chi Lu straight back to his own house. His motherly intuition told him to turn the car around because he was afraid Chu Xia would regret it. Luckily, she hadn't done anything yet. Chen Chuan immediately carried Chi Lu to the car. When they got home, he said he wanted to protect her. He didn't want to see her unhappy like she was today. Poor second male lead. Suddenly, Chu Xia saw the cat in the old alley. It was him. The next day, she became cheerful and gentle. He said whatever he wanted, and she listened. Chi Lu was truly surprised, but he was scared, not knowing if it was a good or bad omen. At school, Chi Lu went to find Man Kuei to ask about what happened yesterday. Just then, a call came in saying that the design had been rejected by the client. This was a disaster, but he suddenly remembered that Man Kuei was a design genius. Chu Xia was having a luxurious lunch with Xiao Nan when she suddenly remembered that she would be a third wheel between Man Kuei and Chi Lu that night, which made her apprehensive. It was true. The two of them were talking ambiguously. She had to press them to find out what was going on at the company. Riding in the car with Chi Lu, Chu Xia asked about the design, but he kept talking about Man Kuei. Man Kuei this, Man Kuei that, a genius. This made her furious. Did he not care about her? Xian Wei sent Chu Xia a picture of her following Man Kuei and Chi Lu. Chu Xia diligently looked for design ideas, and she even justified it by saying that the Han family had gone bankrupt, so she didn't know where to go. Chen Chuan heard this and immediately went back to rummage through the archives of the Zhang family, happily bringing them to Chu Xia. Chu Xia finished her drawing just as Chi Lu came home drunk. He had been out drinking with Han Yu. His heart was heavy because of his feelings for her, so he suddenly hugged her. Chu Xia, I like you. Even if I say mean things, do cruel things, or have a bad attitude, please don't leave me, don't go away. From this moment on, I'm yours. They shared a passionate kiss. The next morning, they both panicked when they saw that they were in the same bed. She had to tell herself that nothing happened. Man Kuei pretended to injure her hand, so she couldn't design for Chi Lu. Luckily, Chu Xia's design was already finished. The upcoming semifinals of the design competition needed a male model to perform with them. Chu Xia was holding a careful selection process. The first criterion was a good figure. Xiaonan narrowed it down one by one, making Chen Chuan the most likely candidate. Unexpectedly, Chi Lu, because he had a little affection for her, didn't go through the selection process and took Chen Chuan's place. From then on, Chu Xia made him exercise diligently to standardize his three-dimensional measurements. The competition day arrived quickly. Seeing Chu Xia was too nervous, he held her hand and encouraged her. It didn't last 3 seconds when Chen Chuan interrupted them. When it was time to perform, Chi Lu knew that Chu Xia was so nervous that she would trip. He had hidden a rose in his shirt, and he gave it to the beautiful woman, saving her from her awkward stumble. The result was that both Xian Wei and Chu Xia tied, but in the direct vote, Chu Xia in first place with Man Kuei voting for her. Xian Wei was furious and went to ask Man Kuei for an explanation. Why were they on the same team but she was always supporting Chu Xia? Man Kuei found an excuse to appease her, but her real plan was to send Chu Xia abroad and away from Chi Lu.
The chairman of the Zhang Group, Xian Wei's father, saw Chu Xia's information and paused. He then wanted to invite her to be a designer at his company.
Chi Lu thought it was good because she could design and still be with him. But Chu Xia couldn't feel anything. His daughter was confronting her, but he invited her back. There must be some ulterior motive. The next day, after school, his car was waiting for them at the gate. He treated them to a delicious meal, but she still flatly refused his offer, reminding him of her mother. After talking for a while, he turned out to be the man in the picture, the man who had abandoned her mother and the father she had been searching for all this time. Chu Xia was completely unacceptable. When they went outside, she hugged Chi Lu and cried. Xin Wei happened to see the DNA test results and went crazy, hating Chu Xia even more. The next day, as soon as she arrived at school, she slapped Chu Xia and called her a bastard. Chu Xia hadn't even accepted him as her father, and hearing this insult, she rushed to hit her. In the midst of the chaos, Wan Zi secretly took a picture of Chu Xia's design. Chu Xia, after several interactions, guessed that Man Kuei had a problem. So when she was surrounded by reporters, she went to rescue her, which made her grateful. Chen Chuan, after seeing Chu Xia hugging Chi Lu, and she was also his cousin, knew that he had truly fallen out of love and was in pain. Xiaoning came up with several ideas and finally helped him cut his sorrows in half. A smile appeared on his face again. Chu Xia returned home and was surprised and happy when Chi Lu brought out a cake and sang a birthday song for her. He gave her a wishing lantern, hoping that she would always be cheerful and not sad. This romantic atmosphere couldn't be without a kiss. But why did someone else always appear at crucial moments? Chi Lu's parents came home to surprise her. The whole family looked so happy. The final round would be held in a closed room, no support, and contestants had to complete their work independently. Chi Lu and his mother saw Chu Xia off at the car. He hugged her and encouraged her. The time had come, but Xin Wei wasn't there yet. Wan Zi went to look for her and accidentally overheard her talking to a stranger. I will make sure that Chu Xia never raises her head high again. So Man Kuei didn't show up for the finals. Wan Zi now saw that Xin Wei was truly terrifying. Chi Lu went to talk to Han Yu. The two of them talked like real men. This time, Chi Lu wasn't just thinking about himself anymore. He wasn't selfishly keeping Chu Xia by his side, and he wasn't stubbornly clinging to astronomy. He would take responsibility for his family. He would study economics to take over the company. He had changed, maybe because of Chu Xia. Chu Xia was taken to the closed room. The path to her mother's dream was no longer far away. She started drawing, cutting, and sewing with enthusiasm. Back home, his father called back, talking about his experience with life and death. He didn't want to force him anymore. He could do whatever he wanted, but Chi Lu said he was doing it willingly and apologized for his selfishness in the past. This truly touched him. It seemed that he had grown up. 3 days passed. Everyone gathered to watch the show. Man Kuei was about to leave home to go there when Wan Zi called to remind her, but it was too late. She saw Xin Wei's people take Man Kuei away right before the ceremony began. Everyone received a notice that Man Kuei had a new design, but strangely, the person was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Xin Wei had already started her performance. Her hot temper made her lose her composure, and she publicly insulted her father on stage. He really wanted to find a hole to crawl into. When it was Chu Xia's turn, when she brought up her design, everyone was surprised because it was exactly the same as Man Kuei's new design that was uploaded. She was truly stunned, but there was no way to prove her innocence without Man Kuei there. The entire auditorium was confused. Man Kuei was locked in a storage room at the school. She tried every way to call for help and open the door, but she was threatened by Gao Gan outside. It turned out he had teamed up with Xin Wei. Because he hated Chu Xia, everyone took Chu Xia to the restroom, but they still couldn't get in touch with Man Kuei, so they had to join forces to look for her. At this moment, Mr. Zhang received a call saying that Xin Wei was the one who sent the design to the website for posting. He was shocked. His daughter was harming another daughter of his. He wanted to find Xin Wei. It was all her doing. He was both angry and heartbroken. Everyone, including Chi Lu, went outside and met Wan Zi. She told them the whole story, and after a while, they guessed where the person was being held. When they got there, they observed for a while, and Chi Lu made a noise. They were discovered and had to reveal themselves. Gao Gan ordered his men to attack, but they received a call to retreat and left. They easily rescued Man Kuei. The judges were about to announce that Chu Xia's qualification was revoked for plagiarism when Man Kuei arrived just in time. She confirmed that it was Chu Xia's design. At this moment, Xin Wei came out, saying that Man Kuei was lying to help Chu Xia because she was bribed. She used a lot of words to criticize and belittle Chu Xia. Mr. Zhang couldn't stand it anymore and had to step in to stop her. Seeing things had gone this far, Man Kuei finally revealed the wound on her hand, making it impossible for her to design. There was someone who really wanted to frame her today, but Xian Wei still wouldn't stop. She went even further and called Chu Xia a bastard, a liar, which made him slap her. It was so sad to see him in this situation. The misunderstanding was cleared up. Chu Xia became the champion of this competition. Everyone hugged her and congratulated her. The family held a small celebration. Man Kuei was also invited. Now that she had given up on her feelings for Qi Lu, it was easier for her to face everyone. She also shared her bloody experience about breaking up with Qi Lu so that Chu Xia wouldn't make the same mistake. Mr. Zhang went to find Chu Xia and reminded her of her promise that she would still go to France, whether she won or lost the competition. If he helped her company recover, she confirmed that she would still go. But she wanted to finish something important first. She put on beautiful makeup and a beautiful dress to meet Qi Lu. But he kept mentioning going to France. Chu Xia was disappointed. Did he want her to leave that badly? Thinking he was afraid she would leave, she explained that she loved design, but she also loved him. She really loved him. She even confessed her feelings first. But Qi Lu coldly said that now he just wanted to focus on his career and didn't care about trivial love. At this point, she was truly hurt. She wished him good luck, but her tears flowed like a river. But he was also heartbroken. Meanwhile, Xiaonan had gathered a band, reluctantly wanting to give Chun Chuan a chance to pursue his passion. But the music was strange. But he finally realized what she had done for him and cherished her. Hanyu was truly angry because Qi Lu acted like that without thinking about Chu Xia's feelings. He hoped he could salvage the situation while there was still a chance. Everyone was sad to say goodbye to Chu Xia, but they waited and didn't see Qi Lu. She got in the car and cried. Even Mr. Zhang was scared. Qi Lu had been hiding all this time and finally showed himself. Chen Chuan was so angry on Chu Xia's behalf that he had to tell her about her promise to Mr. Zhang. She sacrificed herself for him, and only now did he understand. Qi Lu rushed after her, but it was too late. Qi Lu went back to the wall. He remembered all the moments with her. When he turned around, he saw her standing there in the flesh and couldn't believe it. He had to pinch himself, then he hugged her. Finally, he managed to say, "I like you." Their love had borne fruit. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you next time.